I wanted to start by welcoming everyone and acknowledging tonight's program is due to a grant from the Mass Cultural Council, which is a local agency supported by the, Milton Cultural Council. This grant was from the Milton Cultural Council. They are a local agency and supported by the Mass Cultural Council, a state agency, and they are making tonight's free program possible. I am Heidi Vaughn. I am the director of the Forbes House Museum. And I know many of you who signed up tonight probably aren't familiar with us. You came to this program through lots of different avenues. So I just wanted to briefly talk about who we are and why we're hosting tonight's program. We are the Forbes House Museum, a historic house in Milton, Massachusetts. And our mission is inspired by the Forbes family legacy of entrepreneurship, social action, and philanthropy. Forbes House Museum fosters discourse around civic engagement and cultural awareness. And tonight's program actually connects to Mary Bowditch Forbes, who was the last Forbes family member to live in the house. She collected Lincoln and Civil War memorabilia over 50 years of her life, and she started a drawing contest for students in the 1920s, and it's one that we continue today. So for this year, we asked students in grades K through 8 to think about the Lincoln log cabin, which is there in the backyard of the Forbes House Museum, as a form of public art, in the sense that Mary had it reproduced on her property. It's available whenever anyone wants to walk up and look at it. And she really hoped that it would be inspirational. She meant it to be a welcoming community space for people of all walks of life to come together and to think about the ideals represented in Lincoln's life and presidency and how people could live into them today. So it's that idea of bringing the community together for something really positive. I think that connects it nicely to the power of murals and public art in our society today. This is an image of some of the crowds that were there in the 1920s, 1924. And here's the prompts that we gave the young artists this year. In light of events that have occurred over the past year, both locally and nationally, create a design that celebrates diversity and promotes unity as a step toward building a stronger and more inclusive community. And the artists that are here tonight, we were fortunate that they allowed us to share their art on our website so that the students could see what is here in the Boston area, what working artists are doing, and what makes a good mural in terms of scale and size and color, the graphic aspect of it. So I'd just like to share with you our winners. So our young budding artist, this is Anna East and Iman. They were the first place winners in kindergarten through second grade. And if you can read the words in the heart, it says all races are cool. And you see that nice chain of all these different kinds of people holding hands, and then all those bright, bold stripes of color radiating out from the heart. Jemiah Alexis was our first place winner in 3rd through 5th grade. And this was a really nice image of these hands coming together, almost like a team, with the word love there, just the sense of unity and kind of cheering one another on, all unified by that bold blue background. And then our first place winner was Gabriella Kim for 6th through 8th grade. And she's our grand prize winner. And we are hoping to reproduce this mural on the Forbes property this summer. And the judges really were drawn to that mosaic of skin tones in the hand, and so many associations you can create with this very open-ended image. And actually what's nice about where we hope to place this on the property is it will be kind of facing a pollinator garden on the property. So that's kind of a nice connection to the environment, very site specific. So I'm going to be turning this over to Sarah Rodrigo. She is our moderator for tonight's program. She's the Public Art Project Manager in the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture. So I'll just briefly read you her bio, and then I'll let her take it from here. As Public Art Project Manager, Sarah Rodrigo is responsible for the administration of temporary and permanent public art projects, especially those associated with public buildings, as part of the City of Boston's Percent for Art program. This includes project development, planning, coordination, administration, and implementation. Prior to coming to the city of Boston in November of 2018, she was the studio manager for Helmick Sculpture, a sculpture studio specializing in public art. While there, she managed more than 30 large-scale, permanent public art projects from proposal through installation in a wide variety of media and sites, both domestic and international. And I'm delighted to have this group of very talented people here, and I'm gonna let Sarah take it over. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Heidi. I'm gonna share my screen. Oh, and I'm gonna share it on the very last slide because, you know, there's always going to be a hiccup somewhere. So thank you, Heidi. I'm really honored to be here, and I appreciate the Forbes House Museum fostering this great discussion about murals and inviting these amazing artists. I'm going to give a very quick introduction to my work, and then I'll introduce each artist, after which we'll have a discussion, and finally we'll open things up to questions from the audience. As Heidi mentioned, I work for the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture in Boston, which houses the Boston Art Commission, or BAC, which I also staff. The Art Commission is an independent board of volunteers that approves and commissions innovative and transformative public artworks around the city. We hold public meetings every second Tuesday of the month to review and sometimes vote on public art projects in Boston. Those meetings are open to the public. Attending a meeting can be really helpful to understanding the process for public art in Boston, and you get to find out what new and interesting projects are happening around the city. So I encourage everyone to come to a BAC meeting if you have a free 2 hours on a Tuesday night. Each public artwork we commission is typically presented a few times to the BAC, as well as at project-specific community meetings and other community engagements that artists may host, such as pop-ups or workshops. On the left side of this slide, you can see photos of our commissioners, and on the right, a very exciting screenshot of one of our virtual public meetings from early 2020, as well as photos of my colleagues on the public art team, including Director of Public Art, Karen Goodfellow, Collections Manager, Tricia Gilrain, and Data Coordinator, Jess Cami. Together, the staff and commissioners each play a role in supporting the work of the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture and public art in general in the city of Boston. Our office has many programs to support artists, such as the Opportunity Fund, the Artist Resource Desk, the Boston Artists in Residence Program, but two of our projects or programs are really relevant to our discussion tonight, which is the Transformative Public Art Program and the Boston Mural Map. I don't think that it's a coincidence that when my office started a program called Transformative Public Art in 2019, most of the project proposals were for murals. You can see 5 of the artworks from that program year on the left of the screen. Murals are one of the oldest art forms, and I'm not a historian, but I'm going to say this anyway. They're one of the oldest art forms. People have been painting on walls for millennia. There's something about a mural that attracts and resonates with all of us, regardless of our knowledge or connection of visual art in general. I think we've all felt that. As a means of supporting that love we have for murals, our team recently released a work in progress, the City of Boston Mural Map. We hope it will help people discover a new work in their own neighborhood, travel to another neighborhood to see a new piece to them, maybe create their own tour, maybe create their own virtual tour of some of the incredible artworks gracing the walls of Boston. And it is a work in progress. I know I think we have a piece by Sylvia in there, but there's lots of pieces that still need to be added. We also recently released this year's Transformative Public Art Call to Artists for 2021. This year, under the leadership of Mayor Janey, the Mayor's Office is launching the Joy Agenda, a citywide invitation, opportunity, and investment in our collective well-being. We invite artists to submit interest and proposals for the development of transformative public artworks with particular interest in murals. And I'll share some links at the end of the hour if people are interested, but I think we should keep moving because all this work that we do at my office and through the BAC would not be possible without artists. These are a few of the artists I'm currently working with on long-term commissioning projects. I'm really lucky to have the role of working directly with artists to help them realize their vision for a site and facilitate their work with other city agencies. And I'm thrilled to be here tonight talking with three outstanding artists about their work. So on that note, I'm going to stop sharing and introduce our first panelist, Sylvia Lopez Chavez. Dominican American visual artist Sylvia Lopez Chavez believes in the power of the creative process as a powerful tool for positive change and uses art as a vehicle for connection. Her work has received recognition through awards, residencies, and commissions, including the Museum of Fine Arts, Boston, the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum, New England Foundation for the Arts, and Vermont Studio Center. Sylvia's work is held in the private collections of Twitter, Google, Boston Children's Hospital, and the Barr Foundation. She is a seasoned community-based artist and a frequent collaborator on public art projects, which include murals at the Charles River Esplanade, Harvard University, Punto Urban Art Museum, and Northeastern University. Chavez is a graduate of Massachusetts College of Art and Design and Altos de Chavon, the School of Art and Design in the Dominican Republic. When not painting walls, Sylvia can be found by the ocean at her East Boston studio, where she continues her studio practice. Welcome, Sylvia.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. What an intro. And yes, I'm actually working towards also being by the ocean back in the DR at some point during the months of winter. So thank you. Well, thank you also to the Forbes House Museum for inviting us here today. I am Sylvia Lopez Chavez. I am a Dominican American visual artist who's based here in Boston area. I actually live in Chelsea and have my studio in Eastie. So it's this dual kind of situation there. And so through my work, my hope is to really inspire connection in multiple levels and being able to work through really transforming and changing spaces, communities through the work of combining all of my different background levels, which is involving my studies as an artist, my fine art background, that it's very much based in like academia style work, very traditional European, anatomy and perspective and all these things. And like then trying to break that down and doing all sorts of other things as well. And so bringing in also my experience and education as an illustrator and as a graphic designer, in which I'm able to use all of these different practices in order to create the murals that I did today. I have been in Boston for quite some time, and I, just been able to do various different kinds of work. Thank you for starting the slides. I did not give a cue on that, but I really will just have those slides will just kind of be running through as I speak, and I'll be able to answer any questions you guys may have later on. So basically, I moved to Boston to continue my art studies. I had done already quite a bit of work in the arts back home, and I come from a very musical, very artistic family, which is so normal in a lot of the cultural aspect of growing up in the Dominican Republic, where I'm originally from. And I find that even though it is obviously a place where you don't consider art as a career, everybody does it more like a side thing and as a hobby. I was very stubborn. I'm a very determined person, and I really wanted to make sure that I could be that. And since I was a little girl, I was like, I'm going to be an artist. I wanted to be a few things. I wanted to be an artist, an architect, a fashion designer, and a teacher. So here I am today, bringing all of those actually things that I love into the work that I'm doing. I'm transforming spaces through work and working with the existing architecture. I'm working to work with community, and I have definitely worked with young people and adults as well. And it's something I really love and am passionate about. And I continue to also do my studio practice, in which I do my work, and that's more a place where I really replenish and think through ideas, and also work on some more non-commission, non-community, non-anyone else related work that I have to do in order to continue my growth as an artist, to continue my development. And that's time that is very important. So very grateful to be here. I've been, have gone through a whole gamut of working at, right off the bat, from art school to the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston, doing illustration and graphic design for them for quite some years, and then into community work, eventually into teaching and doing freelance design work, to transition slowly into being now what I can do as of 6 years ago now, which is about, almost 7 years as full-time artist. And I am very proud of that. It's not luck. It's not, it's a lot of things together, but it's hard work.
You should be very proud of that. It's the dream, I think. And
it is.
You've achieved it.
It is a dream. It's one of those things that I think that sometimes being stubborn pays off. It gets you in a lot of trouble, but it also pays off, because in a way I feel like I had no choice. I really needed to. I said I would not be leaving my family behind, a place that I love, coming to a very cold place weather-wise, and not achieve what I came here to do. That's like a non-negotiable. I'm like, it took me years, but I'm here, and I'm happy that that's the case.
I'm dying to ask you more questions, but I'm going to introduce our next panelist, and we will get to the questions after the next two introductions. Our next panelist is Franklin Marval. Franklin, and I apologize if is it Marval? Good?
You're doing it right, Marval.
All right. Franklin Marval was born in San Tomé, Venezuela in 1971. He has a BS in graphic design from the Higher School of Design and studied graphic design at the Villas Mil de Leon Artistic Center in Caracas, Venezuela. He lives in Boston, Massachusetts, and works as a senior graphic designer at Scienta Studio in Boston. Franklin has always been fascinated by nature and landscapes. They take him back to where he grew up, spanning his childhood and adolescence, Venezuela. His most recent work reflects the study of sounds and music, the similarity to positive actions, and the way they surround and motivate people who listen. He creates spaces, opportunities to participate, collaborate, and promote community work. This is evident in his paintings and projects, which are filled with vibrant and diverse colors. Welcome, Franklin.
Thank you, Sarah. Happy to be with you guys, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity to be part of the panel, this beautiful panel, talented, and it's just unbelievable. And I'm pretty sure we're going to be working together in some point. Yes, like you say, I'm a graphic designer, and that was my first tool to get to know people. So that's one of the things that I'm being focused on, is to connect. And when I moved to Boston 11 years ago, and I had to say that was one of the tools that I opened doors for me to meet people. And it gave me the opportunity to start with a high school in Roxbury, thanks to Nora, that introduced me to those wonderful people over there. And I had the opportunity to connect from the inside of the city, and which is awesome. And we are family, we're friends, and we're community, right? And so I love Boston and the surrounding areas. And I mostly paint hearts and I create projects with the community, and that's one of my passion, I will say. And I always say, let's keep creating projects that bring people together. And that's like something that I always repeat. And every time that I meet somebody, I'm making sure that and somehow we're going to work and we're going to be doing something together, because I believe in that. And people are being awesome. I'm very happy, and I'm being able to work with high schools everywhere. This image is a middle school in Weymouth, and this is a painting that we create together. 150 kids working together, kids and staff and teacher, in 3 days. And they were so awesome. Those little dots that you see as a texture on the image, they're hearts. And it was an awesome project. And I paint murals, and this one right here is one of the mural that we create on the school that I was mentioning in Roxbury, Boston the Anything Academy. And just to embrace what is community, we talk about elements from the community, what made the community a community that grow together. So just creating those space to collaborate and feel with color and good energy and positive ideas and thoughts and positive action. That's one of my main focus. And that's my way to keep learning, you know. I'm not like attached to what I learned when I was a little, you know. That's what it formed a very, there is a very big percentage of who I am, but there is still space for more. And something that I always say, and everybody say also, we are not from over there, we are not from here, but I change it a little, and I say, I'm from there, I'm from here, and I will be from other places. So that's something that I repeat. I have it on my wall, on my studio, and I believe on that. And I was used to move every 7 years from cities, and right now it's been 11 in Boston. So I'm breaking the mold with this. So I'm very excited. Beautiful people, beautiful places, and happy to be here, and looking forward to create more projects like that one. That's a big heart that we created in 2015 during Figment, the Figment project. And this is inviting people to participate and collaborate. This is a heart that is open to grow. It's a heart that is open to keep learning. And it was called, what was the name of this project? It was I forgot about the name of this piece. Let's be, what's it? I'm pretty sure I'm going to remember in a little, so I'm going to get back to that. So it's a project to interact with people, and that's, I think, for me, it's the key. And actually, Sylvia and Nora are doing the same thing, because this is public art that we do. So happy to be part of this community, and thank you for this. You guys are awesome. And that's me. Yeah, still me. Thank you, Sarah.
Oh, thank you. Just like with Sylvia, all right. I'm going to introduce Nora, and then we can all start talking, come back to all of these wonderful things that you've both been saying. So last but not least, artist Nora Valdez, born in Argentina, has been living and working in the United States since 1986. She graduated from the College of Fine Arts, Mercedes San Luis, Argentina, as professor of fine arts. Her work has been exhibited internationally in Europe, Asia, North, Central, and South America, including numerous international sculpture symposiums. She has more than 15 permanent public art pieces around the world and in the United States. Nora Valdez has utilized sculpture and installations to create work that explores the idea of home and the immigrant experience. She's been focused for many years on creating public art pieces and monumental sculpture. Her thematic concerns are also reflected in her involvement with the community. The recipient of many awards, Valdez has appeared in numerous publications, national and international. Her work has received funding from public and private institutions. Welcome, Nora.
Thank you. Thank you, Sarah, for the introduction, and thank you, Forest House for inviting us. And I'm so glad to be with Sylvia and Franklin, amazing artists. So it's always good. So yes, I born in Argentina. I did, I've been doing my art since a 6-year-old. I went to an academy after I entered to art school before I finished my high school. After I went to Brazil with a scholarship in printmaking, and all this time I was known as a painter, and I had done a lot of murals also in Argentina. And after I got a scholarship to go to Italy, and it was actually until in '85, which I switched a little bit doing public art in stone with the people who did the public monument in Spain. And after when I come here to United States, and this is what I've been doing all this time, creating public art, and but because of my themes are very social, I am very concerned always to create a platform, like a voice for the community, or speak about a theme. And I work a lot with the theme of immigrations. I speak about, about their history, about the good thing, the bad thing, the struggles. And when I come to the United States, I realized what happened? I lost everything. Something is happening. I don't see the screen. This is very sad. Anyway,
right now we can
yes,
see.
yes. I recuperate. So when I come here to United States in '86, I start seeing so much division and about the ethnicities, about the people. So I start working with the community. So parallel to my public work, the thing I do in the Stones, I do organize or orchestrate, I always say, big public art. And so I start using a lot murals as a format, because it's much more accessible than giving a chisel and a hammer to people. Anybody can participate, can be people from kindergarten to older folk, and they can participate doing research, doing painting, doing backgrounds. Some of them that they are better, they can paint, and the design usually come from the community. And I try to work with people from the different ethnicity when I create these murals, and the themes are similar to whatever I incorporate in my public art work with stone. So I bring the same themes, the same thing I do also when I do my gallery show. So it's something that is part of who I am, and just bring things, bring things together, and always at the and keep it in the same theme. So I travel a lot. I'm doing different pieces, like this one is in the left is in China, the other in Seattle. I travel and I just go and work with the community that is in there, and just if it's carving, or sometimes if it's a community project, and I just go and work and put myself inside with the people. And so, yeah, that's more or less, I think. I talk too much? No.
No.
Not yet. So exactly, like this one that we are seeing here in Sumter, in South Carolina, that's where we high schools and also elementary school. And so I try to always to create projects that everybody can participate, and after the way how I install, the kind of like, it becomes something else. So Right now I'm working a lot. I just come back from doing a project, a public art project in Nashua, New Hampshire, just like on Sunday. So and have like, you know, I try to do community, when I work with the community, use more the murals because also they're very powerful. It's larger than life, but also I create some stone projects, like I have a bench project coming up very soon, and so I continue doing the best I can, trying to bring a platform for the people to be heard.
That is fantastic. Thank you all so much for being willing to talk about yourselves and introduce yourselves and share some of your work with us. So I'm going to jump right into some questions. And the first one is my very favorite question to ask pretty much anybody, which is, what's your favorite public art experience in the Boston area? I'm just going to let you jump in.
Like in our own project or in general?
If that's your favorite, absolutely. Or to experience, what's your favorite public art in the Boston area? Oh, I stumped you right on the first question. Go ahead, Franklin.
There is one that I love and I really like. It's the one in Dewey Square that I switch every year with a big mural, and they give the opportunity to more artists to be part of that. So I would like to find that list so I can put my name on it. So
that's
if you know
in the Greenway. You are talking the one in
yes.
the Greenway. Yeah.
Yes. It's always a surprise, something new. So
yeah,
I like
it is. That is a good one. Yes.
I wasn't sure if the question was about, I'm thinking about the question. I'm like, is it just any public art or public art that I have? My favorite experience from what I've created.
Sure.
Within that, because I mean, obviously it's like a challenging thing. I think that there's certainly several pieces of art throughout the Boston area. Mostly the ones that I have loved a lot, they tend to be more temporary, but there's certainly some more murals that are more permanent. That's just the nature of how the city has operated in the past, with a lot very temporary works in terms of public art. But I love this experience that was actually my very first mural in Boston, that it's the one that I did in partnership with Now and There on the Charles River Esplanade. It's like one of my favorite locations to be by the water in the warmer months. And I have enjoyed that area for so many, like pretty much since I came to the city. And it's been such a wonderful, it was such a wonderful experience to be able to not only work and paint right there on that spot, but also have this opportunity to have this mural in such a prominent place in Boston, and then the camaraderie, the community that was built from that, it's remarkable. I got to work with amazing women with me as a part of my team that made it all happen, and people's reaction, were awesome. Like, it was just a lot of hunking on Storrow Drive, like, thumbs up, and it's just wonderful when you see the welcome and the gratefulness of people just by seeing the work go up.
On my commute, I ride by that piece on Good
Yeah,
Days,
it's
and I
always good to see
absolutely
it.
love it. The first time, it was just this, it was a revelation. Whoa, there's art here on this strange car bridge that never felt particularly welcoming before, and now it's a destination, and it's incredible that your art did that for the city.
And I think, like, just to say this opportunity, I think Boston do a lot of temporary work, but also they should consider to do more permanent work. I think, like, every time that they do any public building, it should be art, like other cities.
We are working on it. Sure. And Nora, you didn't give me a favorite public art.
No, I was with Franklin, the one that actually, I like the one in the Greenway. So many public sculptures in the Greenway there have been amazing, but sometimes they disappear very quickly. I like the head that is in MIT, you know, I mean, it's like few spots here and there. And of course, Silvia's murals, the Esplanade is a nice one. I like that. And I like the one I walk all the time in the Cambridge Library, the one that you do. Because yeah, I pass that every day practically.
Yeah, there's so many favorites. I mean, if we start naming,
Yeah, it's
like
just
Madison
kind of-
High, like Rob Gibbs' piece, Groove Hall
Yeah.
with Marca 27. I mean, there's so
Yeah,
many
it's a lot of
beautiful
fun.
art pieces that are in also Central Square and Roxbury. There's a growing amount of murals.
There is
Yeah.
one that is kind of old in JP and center. It has the arms like this. I don't know who created it, but it's beautiful. I
Oh,
don't know if
that's
you guys
very old. Yeah.
Very, very old, and it's still there. And every time that I go by, I'll say, "Oh, that's cool."
Yeah.
So that one is a permanent back.
There's several good
Yeah.
ones in JP, I must say.
Yes.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
you're right.
Yeah.
So I'd like to talk a little bit about community engagement, because I think you all touched on that, but in different ways. And but public art, we all talk a lot about community engagement. So can you each expand a little bit more on what that phrase means to you in your work, particularly? And I know that, Nora, you said that you're following the same process with your public work and your gallery work, which I think is not always the case.
Well, because that's kind of what motivates me to work, you know, like kind of like the social themes. And so that's what I develop in my studio and by myself when I have a show. But mostly since I do public art, I mostly do big sculptures, and they have the similar themes. And so when I get commissions, I never have done a commission that they tell me the theme. Always it come out from my heart. I always have worked. That's reason probably I am the most poor artist. But I've been doing my art all my life. I never have done any other work, thank God. But I always try to do whatever is in my heart. Like, for example, I do a stone, and it's just so physical that I really have to love and really believe what I do. And so that's the reason I say that my private practice, and also when I need it, that I feel like I'm not doing enough, just being in my studio, is when you have to go and deal with the community, just bring the community and involve, bringing the community to also have a voice. And so I create some projects where I will be able to engage them, to be able to participate, and sometimes they even design, and I'm kind of there to orchestrate.
Interesting. And I feel like, Sylvia, you were talking about that your studio practice is different, and you define yourself as a community artist, but that you need that recharge time in the studio. So how is that kind of different process for you? Yeah.
So I'm an introvert extrovert personality. I'm very like crazy and loud and funny, and well, not funny, but like I laugh a lot about things, and when I output so much, I need to also replenish after that. And so for me, I have gotten to know myself to that point, and a lot of community work is very much talking all day and engaging people in various forms. And I mean, I bring a party to my painting walls. Like whenever people are painting with me, we have music on, we're dancing, we're singing. It's painting, but it's also just like, I know, a full-blown thing. And I think that for me, painting murals, it's really about learning and understanding the context of that space and that place. Like, who are the people living and working in that area? You know, understanding the context and the demographics and the light hitting that wall. Like, how does people interact with that space? How much time do people actually spend there? Who will be really living with this artwork? And so for me, that's super important. And I'm a bit nerdy when it comes to this stuff. So I started doing tons of research and learning about, talking to people and doing all kinds of things. And I then be able to come up with something that is meaningful for that community, that is meaningful for that particular place. And I think that, when you were saying, when we talk about public art, is so much about understanding who, we talk about community engagement, yes, but who is the community, first of all? It's like identifying who the community is very important. And also being able to think about them meaningfully in a way that they're engaged really from the beginning stages of the project, thinking through how are they going to be involved? How are you hoping they will be part of the, Nora was just saying that sometimes they're part of the ideas and the concept, and sometimes they contribute through other ways. Sometimes they become models for my murals. Sometimes, they contribute for various things, or they just participate on they help paint or participate on celebration at the end. But I think it's important that we are meaningfully thinking about that ahead of time, instead of like, oh yeah, this big project needs community engagement component, we just need to check this box. I think that's totally wrong way of doing things. And I think it's very important that we are able to engage people meaningfully. And so for me, that's important. That studio work is where that happens. I need that quiet time also to, after doing all that research and talking to so many people, is to thinking through like, okay, what is there? What is missing? What could be good for that? So that's
To absorb it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Process that.
definitely. Yeah, process it. And Franklin, you did a piece that really straight on addressed who is community. When you were talking about your work and going through the slides, it really struck me as something that's just really fundamental to public art that you addressed. Do you want to talk about your process in general, how you came to that piece specifically?
So I will say that I think all of us, we use, actually, I will say that the same, that's what drives us, that's what we use, that's our gasoline to our pieces. And it's very joyful when you create something and the community is a little bit afraid to grab a paintbrush. And then you ask them. I mean, on my case, on my work, I enjoy that part when they are afraid and then they're not afraid. And then you have to take the paintbrush out of me. It's like, so I discovered that for me is giving the opportunity to people to participate and collaborate and own it. I was part of this process. And sometimes you give that tool. Sometimes when you create a mural and then you're creating a mural for a place, but you spend a lot of time thinking about the space and the people, and then in some way it is part of, you are thinking about the community, so which is awesome. And sometimes when you are making a piece, something that I discovered is like, I have to be careful because I prefer spending time talking with people. And then I don't finish the piece sometimes, but I think it's my way to connect. So I don't want to spend that. I mean, to lose that opportunity to do that. It opens the door to connect with people more, and I think that's pretty cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I think.
And I know Nora and Silvia are doing that, and so they know where I'm
Yeah,
talking
I
about.
totally hear you about not finishing things like as fast as you want to because you're chatting with people. Like that's just what happens. It's beautiful. I love that.
Yes. Thank you.
Well, and it sounds like it brings that richness to all your work. That it's necessary for the whole process.
Yes. And that's what made
putting the public in public art, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
We have a few audience questions. I see 2 in the Q&A, so I'm going to ask them. And if other people have questions, feel free to put them in the chat or add them to the Q&A. So the first one is from Christina Rodero Salas. Question for all panelists: how does your culture influence your work, and how do you manage working outside of your home country? Which I would argue this is your home country because you're all Boston artists.
Yeah. I think
Well,
you just, I mean, I think when you just bring, it's bring who you are to the people together, you know, you do something. It's just, we don't have to always say, you know, where you from, coming from, you know, like whatever. It's just, we have to stop this division. That's how I see it. I go, like every time I go and work in some other country, the time I am there, I am from there, you know, I mean, I just kind of immerse myself and try to know as much as possible about the people, do the research, how Silvia was saying, you do a lot of research. So when you go there, you don't know, are completely an outsider. So you're trying to immerse yourself. And I think by having all coming for all of us from another country, it's just like we're bringing even more, you know, it's just more ingredient to the pie.
Franklin, what were you saying about you are here?
Yes, I'm from there. I'm from here.
Yeah.
And I will be from different places.
That's amazing, because in all my statements I say I am from here, there, and nowhere. I'm gonna have to
Exactly.
change now.
You have to change it.
I'm gonna take that out now.
Yes, please.
I
And
love
actually,
that.
yes, we need to keep repeating that, because in that way, I
Yeah.
mean, we belong here and everywhere, you know, and that's a very, it's a very strong feeling to feel that you don't belong anywhere, you know, and
It
if
is
you
true.
change
It
that,
is true.
the narrative, everything flow better. I remember the time that I told myself, this is my place. You know, I accept this Boston as my place, and everything started flowing so incredible. You know, I started to engage more with the school of my kids, my neighbor, my school community, everything around us started flowing better, and it's just unbelievable. Just keep offering, knock the door and say, I'm here, like, what are you doing? How can I help you? You know, let's do, it's not that you knock the door and say, this is what we're gonna do. No, that's not the way. But so you accept and you move forward, you know?
Yeah.
And it works.
And I love that in your work, you're giving that to other people as well. I mean, I know when I first moved to Boston, I was navigating by art. I was like, I know where I am because there's that lollipop sculpture, you know, or there's that big naked guy. And that's how I know where I am. And it gives you that sense of place. And I don't want to talk about place making and all of that, but more that really what you're talking about, that soul piece of I belong in this place. And that's what all of your work can do.
And it's like, going back to the question, it's like, it's not that we have all that from where we're coming from, and it's there, because some people were gonna ask you, so are you no longer a Venezuelan person? I mean, like, and no, yes, I am. I'm from everywhere.
Yeah, you will never forget your root. They are there. It's your identity. But like, for example, I have lived here in this country more than half of my life in this country. But because of the, you know, I have this accent, so people always think I get off the boat last week. But sometimes I belong more, I belong more here than when I go back. My whole family is still in Argentina. And when I go back there, I feel like I don't quite think it the same way, because I'm thinking more how you develop your things here. And it's just complicated, but I think putting all those things together make us be able to work with so many different types of people.
I agree. And I just have to say that it's so, you are who you are, and your roots are your roots. Like, we each come from a different place and have made Boston our home for many years now. And there's definitely no question that, you know, color, for example, that Caribbean color, it comes through clearly in my work as I work. I did not get that from New England weather, I'll tell you that, or architecture, or even the fashion, I don't know. But it's certainly, there's a lot of things that you don't even, you're not thinking about it. It just comes through, because that's just part of your psyche. It's behind in your head, and it's just like it just comes naturally, and then you just respond to who you are as a person. I completely agree that I think more than ever we need to find ways to connect instead of divide, and find ways to see our humanities as one, because there's so much division right now happening in the world.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And that's the power of art, public art, and the artists and the art and everything. So it has that.
Not too much pressure.
Just
Okay,
to
we have a
unify.
couple other questions. I see someone was asking about the last presentation public art slide, which I'm not sure, Heidi, if
Which one was that?
I could just pop that up. I think they're referring to Nora's sculpture in the stone garden. So I think they just want to see this again. And maybe
yes,
you just want to say a little
And
bit
this
more
is in
about that,
Boston,
Nora.
in Boston Dine Even Academy. And actually, I brought the students to work on the benches in this piece. Yeah.
I think that was their favorite public art in Boston. They're answering that question. So the next question was from Ray, and I apologize in advance, Ray Sawakio. Building on my question, could each of you please paint us a picture with words of the most moving art experience you have ever lived?
I think they're all unique. And when you do this, community work and we work from the heart, you always have this moving experience. And so sometimes you touch, little kids, sometimes you touch older people. I mean, I was doing this piece that I just finished on Sunday. And there were all these women, that they were crying in front of the sculpture. Somebody say, Nora, why are you making everybody cry? Like, I mean, it's moving in many different places. And I think each time is different, but they're all moving. If not, we shouldn't, I don't think we can do it.
Yeah, the best kind of art there is that pushes emotions. If you're neutral about any of it, not good. You can hate it, you can love it, you can
Yes.
cry,
Yes.
but when you're like right in the middle and you're just not feeling anything, that is just failure.
Yes.
So I completely agree that it should move you. It should, and there's so many of those experiences. I think as artists, we feel so much also, just period. I mean, I think of like not only public art, but concerts or music that moves you that to tears as well. Like it's poetry is. It's hard to pinpoint at one experience, that is actually so transforming, because so many of them just make you think differently afterwards, make you do things differently afterwards. Consider people, what some of the most meaningful experiences is like the breakup of assumptions on people, especially working with others, whether it's you think that person based on how they look, what age they are. There's like all these assumptions that we take as human beings, and like you have to just listen more and connect and really be open to those situations and circumstances, because working with people in art especially is very vulnerable. It's a very vulnerable place to be, and for those people who actually engage and decide to do the work with you, they're, especially adults. Kids are not so much, they're very open, but adults especially, we are experts on something already in the world. Like to be vulnerable and like do something we never do or feel uncomfortable and do that in a public space with other people, it's hard. So there's a lot of emotion involved on this work. And I have worked with homeless people, I have worked with like Google executives, and it's amazing how art can help people connect to their own selves, areas that perhaps they didn't know about, areas that perhaps they haven't connected to in a long time. And it's a beautiful thing.
So I think you guys cover perfectly, because and public art give you the opportunity to feel, and that's just powerful. And we can go over the process and then we can talk about the final piece, you know. And it is just awesome when somebody 2 years after you create that piece, or 3 years after you create that piece, and it get closer to you and say, you were the one that created that piece? I say, yes. And then you are too scared to say why. And then they say, I drive by every day on my way to work, and the colors give me joy. And then you go, is that a good thing? But it is just unbelievable. You know, it opens the door for people just to say how they feel, you know. In that case, this person has the opportunity to say it, you know, but they are experiencing those feelings every day. And I think that's powerful. And then when you look into the piece, and then you look into the process, and then you see that you put some time to think about the place, and sometimes you let the community to be part of that, I think that's just unbelievable. Awesome. So, let's just keep doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are running low on time, so we have 2 last questions. I hope everyone can give us just a few extra minutes. One, and I personally love these questions because I love hearing about the process for artists. How do you get your creative juices flowing? Do you ever have a certain routine to help you get your creative flow up and running?
Music is one of the first things for me. I obviously do research and read a lot and talk to people, and that definitely serves as a ton of inspiration. I love hikes and being in nature also. That helps me to, you know, balance the city life that we have here in Boston, and I think that it's also key for me. Yeah, I think inspiration comes from so many different kinds of places, and in terms of a routine, that's part of what I do. And I move from that to okay, like what's the focal point? Like I always think about what's the main image, and then the icing on the cake is everything else that contributes to the meaning and the additional things.
I mean, for me, it's just like the thing I do is no other question. So I just come from morning to night, keep working, keep doing. I do so many drawings too. Go to the studio, come here, and continue doing it. You know, I mean, that's also the beauty being by myself. It's just like all the time on it. And so far, so good. You know, maybe in one point something will stop or slow down, but I don't think so, because it's so much motivation from the people. From whatever happens, it's always something happen. Hopefully, maybe the time when it's no more injustice in this world, maybe we're gonna stop working, but I don't know.
I've never met a retired artist.
No, I mean, exactly. That's what sometimes they say, oh, you're gonna retire soon. No, I'm not gonna retire. I'm gonna be doing things until the day I die.
I'm gonna write that one down.
Yeah.
And I have to say, on my case, I know we don't have time, but we always, I mean, on my case, I always think about what's the message, what's the feeling that we wanna to work with,
Okay.
and then I forget to put music, and I start just sketching, and then when I get home, I start, oh, I forgot to put music. But I'm trying to do that more often, so I'm working on it.
Wonderful. And the last question is kind of a big one. So we're going to end on this. And I thank everybody for sticking with us, because frankly, I don't want to leave. We should do this again. I could talk to the 3 of you for hours. Can you speak to how public art can come to define a community? This is from Thomas Vanatter. I think about the Roxbury Love mural, or even the giant pear in Dorchester, and how those pieces became ingrained in the neighborhood's identity.
Oof, that's a long one.
It is. It is. Can you answer it in 10 words? I don't know. I couldn't, but
Well, I think art will define any society. You know, without art, it's like it's nothing. It's no feeling, and it's boring. That's reason, even if here we have so much, we still need more in comparison sometimes with other cities. But I think it define mostly when you do something like, for example, the pair that they're talking about. People start investigating why a pear, you know, and that was the type of pear that was there. It was a farm, so you start finding out information about the place. So sometimes it's necessary to put artworks that they will have some meaning, not just you know, just to put an artwork. It's nice to be able to convey what is happening in the area. That's my quick answer.
I think that was excellent. Franklin, Sylvia, do you want to add anything?
So I will say that when you see the public art on places, you see how sensitive the city is,
Yeah.
how open to learn, because every time that you see a public art piece, there is something, there is a message, there is a reason, and we are learning every day. You know, if we are taking down an art piece, a mural that it was there for a long time, and now there is a building there, and we are learning that the next time we want to do it, but we want to keep it there. What are the things that we can do to keep it there, to preserve it, to keep it in time? But we are what we see, and that's what I've been doing. Architect, that the architect is a piece of art, so it defines how you feel, how you are. I think it's very important. I mean, yeah, I'm gonna take that one home.
There's so much to say about that. It's just difficult to
Yeah.
pinpoint at one. There's like examples. Obviously, Roxbury Love, it's a huge one here in Boston. I can think of like the one in Long Island City in New York, this huge building. It was an artist building. A few years ago, it was like whitewashed, and then eventually turned down. There's so much that murals can do in a community, you know, not only to be able to speak of who they are as a community, to have a voice for people there, but also it becomes landmark. It becomes a landmark. It becomes the place to meet me at X, Y, and Z, you know, like what you were saying. Like I think of here, one of the first places that I remember seeing a sculpture I never forget is that when I first moved here was Porter Square. And
Yes.
and that moving, it's like it was beautiful. I was like, whoa, what is this thing? Like I will always tell people to meet me there. You know, and it's just you know, seeing the murals also that have been so last so long, like the murals from David Fitchard, for example. He's been a muralist in this area for so many years, and he's leaving a legacy of so many murals. Like I keep thinking of the Trader Joe's mural and how like that has represented the people, not only just a feeling or emotion, but also the actual people from that community. And, you know, I had to do a process in Cambridge in Central Square Library. There used to be a mural there. I was there for many, many years in which people were represented in this mural. And there were a lot of people who were involved. And we had to do a very, very important process of letting people, the artists and the community know that this was happening. It was deteriorating, it's faded. There were panels falling down. There was just a lot it needed to be, and it was beyond repair at that point. They had done several reparations after so long. And I think what is important is that we see how people were so heartbroken. Some people were like embracing the new and were excited and also nervous about what I would create. But I think there's a lot in that it's so important to consider when creating it, and when also, if it's going to be temporary, making people aware ahead of time that that's the case too.
Absolutely. Well, thank you all.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like we could really keep going, but I'm going to hand it back over to Heidi. And thank you to the attendees as well for being here with us tonight. Heidi?
Thanks, Sarah, and thank you all to the artists. I feel I really feel blessed actually that you are all here sharing your passions with us. And I think what's so great about artists that work in the world that you do, in the world of public art, you really engage with your audience. And I hope you've seen some of the messages in the chat, because our audience really enjoyed their experience tonight. And hopefully we're all inspired to walk around our city with wider open eyes and really appreciate the riches that we have here. And I know for me, thinking about how are we going to reproduce the mural that we chose, we're still looking for funding, but I'm determined to make it happen. Like all of you have talked about your journeys, we will make this happen on the Forbes House grounds. So before we leave, if anyone's interested that isn't as familiar with us, we do offer tours at the Forbes House on Fridays and Saturdays. You can learn more about us at our website, forbeshousemuseum.org, upcoming events. And we do hope to continue engaging with artists as part of our ongoing programming here at the museum. And lastly, we do have an event coming up next week, Reading Frederick Douglass Together. This is sponsored by Mass Humanities. And this is a wonderful community event we did 2 years ago. Anybody can sign up. It's a hybrid event, so if you're not comfortable in person, there will be that option. And if you're interested in participating, you would get one paragraph from his famous speech, "What to the Slave is the 4th of July." And afterwards, there's some time to reflect and discuss on that. So if you're interested, I hope you'll go to our website and sign up. And with that, I just want to, again, thank our audience and thank everyone on our panel discussion tonight. And I can't wait to see what you do next in your work.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us. There's so much amazing public art out there in Boston. Go out, it's getting warm. Thank you for that map. Actually, I just checked the link and it wasn't working, just so in case you wanted to resend it.
Oh, is that right? You know what? I will send out tomorrow in a follow-up email to everyone who signed up. I'll be sure to include that Boston Murals link. And we'll make sure that it's working.
Thank you, everyone.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Good night, everyone.
It was
Thank you.
good.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you so much.